What's up, you guys, and welcome to another episode of the Dark Sage's Interlude. I'm your host, Chase the Dark Sage, and this show is brought to you by Beyond Beats and Culture, the best hip-hop show and platform on YouTube itself. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and like the video, and this show is basically about the stuff that I can't really talk about or fit into the best hip-hop show on YouTube, Beyond Beats and Culture itself. And this is to give you guys a little bit of my thought processes, my niches, and the things that I really like in hip-hop. So, you already saw the title, you already saw the thumbnail. We're talking about Zero's Let the Truth Be Told. Now, this album is his I just looked at the Wikipedia. His 9th solo studio album. Zero is obviously a legend from Houston, a legend in hip hop himself. Now, more of a regional legend when it comes to actual legendary status in hip hop. He's definitely a regional legend in hip hop because we do have them regional legends where people want to count them towards all legends in hip hop. But when it comes to the regions, I guess you could say the East Coast kind of has Master Ace, where not everybody knows who Master Ace is, but from that region, the East Coast, a good amount of people know who Master Ace is. You kind of get where I'm going at with this. So Zero is one of the most legendary and iconic figures within Southern hip hop because Zero is just one of those guys that he makes such relatable, and I guess either empathetic or sympathetic music, depending on how you actually feel and how you actually relate to the music that he actually puts out. And you can obviously tell when it comes to Zero, he loves to rap. He loves to make music. You can tell from his very tiring discography. He has a lot of projects, a lot of records. Jesus, Zero, this man could not stay out the studio, but he is one of the harder working artists out in the actual game of hip hop itself. And Zero is one of those people that has been pretty consistent overall in hip hop. He's been making music before me, and he's still making music till this day. He came out with an album in 2024. I actually talked about it in the What We've Been Jamming section on the show, and I didn't really, find it very favorable to what I like from Zero, but I also don't really like a lot of the projects that are coming out of Houston from the OGs themselves. There's some exceptions, obviously, but when it comes to the OGs in Houston, especially during the 2005 reign, because I never actually talked about this album because I forgot that it came out in 2005. Now, when I was a wee little lad, a little boy, this wasn't something that I was always going to because one, Zero just didn't make music that I could relate to, I could listen to, and I could understand and really connect with. It only became up until high school when I actually started listening to Zero and I actually really started liking him with albums I should probably have to bleep all that out for YouTube because those are some crazy names to have for your album, but he did have some huge singles while I was growing up, I Hate You and Top Notch, Get the Most, Not the Less, with the sample from Pimp C from International Players Anthem. Oh, such a classic single back in the day, and songs like These Days, which I really do love Zero, especially on his melodic and rapping performance and stuff and the actual production. But I'm rambling right here. We're here to talk about Let the Truth Be Told, his 9th studio album that came out in 2005. Now, like I said, I didn't talk about this on the previous video because it actually wasn't on the list of me talking about all the albums that came out in 2005 and how Houston really dominated, because Zero is one of those unsung heroes in hip-hop, the underground legends, where it's he never really had the mainstream appeal, at least to my knowledge, where I could talk to someone that isn't from Houston, or at least not from Texas, and they'll really know who Zero is, unless you're really into hip-hop. That's the only way you kind of know about Zero itself. So mainstream wise, he didn't really have that appeal, but he definitely has an appeal when it comes to regional sound and regional I guess you could say fans. I don't know how to describe it, but if you know Houston music, you know who Zero is, and you know how iconic and legendary he is. I mean, shoot, he was even on a Nipsey Hussle mixtape on Crenshaw, I believe. I forgot what song it was. I think the song was called Go Long, or at least that's what the hook was. I'm getting on a tangent again. Like I said, we're here to talk about Zero's Let the Truth Be Told, and 9th album off of Rap A Lot Records, which legendary iconic record label right there. And it's crazy to see when I went to this Wikipedia page that he recorded some of this in Denton. Now, if you guys don't know, I actually went to college in Denton, so that's kind of crazy because I wish I would have stopped by the studio, if it is still around, to see where he recorded this. And you can see that this came out April 12th, 2005. Hopefully, at the time of me recording this, I'm obviously doing it earlier so that way I can prepare for when this does come out, and that way I can drop it on the actual birthday, 20th birthday, might I add, which is crazy, but it's time to give Zero some shine, time to give him some love. You can see right here, this album is 17 tracks long, an hour and 11 minutes. Now, we got to remember, back then, an hour and 11 minutes, that was good for an album because you never knew when the next album was going to come out. Usually the artist kind of spaced the music out and you kind of lived and sat with the music. Nowadays, I'm in there, I really want a 30 to 40 minute album. You get what I'm saying? 50, cool. An hour, it better be an experience. Over an hour, you're pushing your luck, buddy. But when we go into this project right here, I saw that it was kind of daunting to me because this is one of those projects that I don't go back to a lot, but revisiting it as an adult, I fully enjoy this project right here. Zero's rapping performance is really solid, especially on the intro tracks like Mo City Don Freestyle, which is one of the most iconic Houston songs, not in terms of like mainstream, like a Sicko Mode, obviously, but in terms of like songs that help define Houston. Obviously, you got to do Still Tippin' by Mike Jones, back then by Mike Jones too, if you want to, and this song right here. This is definitely in there along with Bumby's Get Throwed and all that, even though he really doesn't count it since he's from Port Arthur. But as tangent aside, we go through the track list right here, and like I said, really solid rapping performance from Zero, and really solid opener for the album right here. Slow, loud, and banging all in my trunk full of funk. I ain't never been a punk. Oh, come on, man. Legendary. But then we get The Mule featuring Devin the Dude and Juvenile, which is a cool song, and basically, you know, them talking about, you know, their peace down there. Not like a weapon. Well, I mean, for them it's a weapon. But you know what I'm saying? But, you know, for them, you know, hit him with the mule, you know, or hit her with the mule. They're talking about their meat. That's all the song is, smashing other people's girls, making these girls go crazy over their meat. Yeah, and I hit them with that mule. Also, Devin the Dude, Juvenile, both Southern legends as well. We Don't Want to Hurt Nobody, which I love this song. Don't want to hurt nobody. Ooh, Zero was over here partying. I love it. And the thing about Zero is, especially with his music, you can tell that he's heavily influenced by Tupac, where he wants to have them party tracks, he wants to have fun, but he also wants to keep it gangsta and let you know that, hey, don't test me right now. You get what I'm saying? I keep that thing on me. I ain't squaring up. I keep that piece on me. But also, he has the very depressing songs, which we'll be talking about later. But Don't Want to Hurt Nobody featuring Trader Truth, when it was still cool, obviously. And Lil Boss, who I'm not really sure of, but when I hear the song, I obviously know who it is because I'm very familiar with the other two. And then we got Platinum, which I thought that this song was really good as well. When it comes to Zero and his melodies, oh my gosh. Nowadays, I'm iffy on. But back then, I felt like his melodic game in terms of like him actually making the chorus, because that's one thing that we also don't give credit to Zero, is that he does the hooks, he does the verses, and the hooks be like very infectious, very catchy, but also he has some pretty good and solid verses as well. Now, we get the first song that I like the whole album, right? I can listen to the whole album, but when it comes to in terms of me actually reviewing this and looking at it from a more critical stance, it don't stop. It was cool. It was all right. It definitely has that Houston sound, but it has this like weird production that I really am not too fond of, especially the way it's cool. Like when I'm listening to the album itself, I don't mind listening to it, but it's not one of my favorites now. I'm like, oh, remember that song? Like that's not the song I'm going to. Then we get 6, I'm a Soldier, where he's, you know, using heavy Machiavelli vibes, heavy Tupac vibes from the album Machiavelli itself, and he has a lot of that energy, like the ride with me. Like Zero incorporates that flow a good amount, especially when he's trying to like get some of his verses off, which I don't mind it too much, but sometimes I'm just like, Zero, you kind of sound a lot like Tupac. Now I get it, Tupac is very influential, especially without an artist like Tupac. A lot of the artists that we have now probably wouldn't be here, or probably wouldn't rap over similar subject matter the way Tupac did. And then we got One Night featuring Trader Truth, which is a cool song, another melodic song by Trader Truth, a really good verse as well. We got Help Me Please. This is a good song. You know, it's usually it's the underdog song where it's like, yo, like, you know, Zero, especially when it comes to the theme of this album, he has a lot of trust issues. He's this gangster. He has this hardcore facade that he leaves off on, and he doesn't want people to mess with him, but also he probably doesn't want people to mess with him because he's hurt on the inside. He's been done wrong. He can't trust nobody. Everybody that he thought was his friends ain't really his friends. We're always hating on him. We're always plotting on him, betrayed him somehow. Zero has a lot of trust issues, and he kind of acknowledges that in track 9 with another song where he talks at the beginning like, yo, I know this is very depressing. I ain't gave y'all no dance, no party songs, which he did lie right there, because like the first 4 tracks, I'm jamming and I'm partying too, right? But he's like, yo, like, I'm not really happy. You get what I'm saying? I gotta give y'all these depressed jams because that's who I am. That's what I'm going through. With production from Corey Mo itself. Solid song itself. Everyday, same thing. Another one of those same tracks where it's like, it's very relatable music that Zero makes. Then we get the same one. I really wasn't feeling this song like that. Then we get First Time Again with a Shoutout on the actual hook itself. This is cool. This is Zero talking about a girl, talking about, yo, like, you remind me of like the first time I fell in love with rap, or the first time I met you, or the first time, you know, I lost my virginity, things like that. So he kind of goes along that with this being a love song. Then we get one of the best, if not the best song on the album itself, From the South, featuring Paul Wall and Lil Flip. Top 3 songs and it's not 2 or 3 on this album right here. This song is so good, especially because to me, this is like the Houston, not posse cut because it's only 3 people on there, but this is like the Houston jam because each album always from the Houston, especially during that time, has that one Houston jam on there. This is definitely the one. Obviously, Mo City Down is way bigger than From the South, but From the South to me, it helps encapsulate what Houston really is, especially with artists like Paul Wall and Lil Flip on there. Then we got Respect My Mind featuring Tanya Heron, which Zero is doing his usual interpolations slash flips of like some classic record, and in this song right here, he's doing Sade's Cherish, like off of her album. I forgot the name of the album, but he's doing that flip. Losing my mind. And Zero, he knows he can sing. He tries to sometimes stretch it, not on this album, but later albums, especially more current ones. He kind of like stretches his ability to sing, but here he's very melodic, he's very smooth, I guess you could say, and I really like this as well. And it's a pretty jamming record, especially with, you know, Zero just basically interpolating and flipping Sade's track right here. Then we got Ride Tonight, which is another one of those Machiavelli Tupac like tracks right here, where I thought it was cool, but it's not really my thing, but I enjoy it nonetheless. Then we got Auntie and Grandma song, obviously, you know, honoring his auntie and grandma, the people that were really there for him when he was growing up. And then we got the last track, It's a Shame. You can't end the album off like that, Zero. That song is too hard to end the album off like that. Oh my gosh. It's a Shame is a really good ending track, but it really leaves you on a high octane ride, especially at the end of the actual album itself. But yeah, overall, when it comes to Zero's Let the Truth Be Told 9th solo album, which is crazy, this is one of his better albums. Now, this album, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it could get very repetitive at times. It could get very samey at times. Zero is one of those people that, if you don't empathize with Zero, if you don't care for his story, if you don't care for him as a person, especially the music that he's going through, if you don't relate to his music, you're not going to enjoy the music that he's going to give you. I'm gonna give him the credit right now. I think Zero is one of the more personable artists that you are going to get from Houston itself, because Zero, you get a lot of look into what he's thinking and how he actually thinks when it comes to like his music and him talking to you about his problems, his struggles, his issues in terms of like mentally, or his actual trust issues with other people as well in his relationships. Because when it comes to like a lot of Houston music, and Zero doesn't actually fall victim to this in this album right here, every now and then he kind of does, but it's very rare, where you're talking more about Houston culture or the Houston scene itself rather than yourself. Zero is like the most personable person when it comes to an artist from Houston that's actually like rapping in the music about themselves. Like Zero, you feel like you're going to come out knowing Zero based off of listening to one of his projects right here. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about Let the Truth Be Told. You know, I think it was a pretty dope album that came out during 2005 that I forget that it comes out in 2005, but this is one of the better projects in Zero's very tiring, and I will say intimidating discography. Zero has a lot of projects. If you had to actually go and listen to some projects from Zero, you got to listen to this project. This is definitely the number one, especially with it having Mo City Down on here, which phenomenal job, especially with this being a freestyle, and he ended up turning it into a rap, and him not even liking it, but the city having it on his back so heavy, he's like, yo, I just gotta embrace it at this point. This is like his biggest jam right here. But like I said, if I had to recommend Zero projects, Crack, Let the Truth Be Told, not ooh, I don't know why I said Crack, Let the Truth Be Told. I like the True Hero Unto God. Oh, that's a song. I don't know. Zero has a lot of projects. Like I listened to a lot of Zero when I was like in middle school, but I didn't really connect with Zero until high school. And then I went through a huge Zero phase during college, and I went through a lot of his projects from beginning, and especially the ABN stuff to where he's at now. And I will say that it felt very nostalgic to listen to this album, but also to listen to Zero's previous projects as well during those times where I did listen to them. But yeah, I just want to give Zero his flowers because he is the one rapper, and I know he said it recently on a podcast, I forgot the name of the podcast, where people really don't support Houston artists, and sad to say, I feel the same way. Like, you know, a lot of people don't really support the Houston music like that, but when it comes to like the nostalgia, the classics that we have from Houston, we gotta like praise those. We gotta give those as flowers, because these artists back then were heavily in their bag, and some artists even to this day, like Bun B and Paul Wall, heavily in their bag as well. Zero, I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? If a new Zero album comes out, I might not go to it when it first comes out. I might get around to it, but I might go to it, you know, later on, but not the day that it comes out. I'm not rushing to a Zero album. But that's not to say that he is not a legendary figure when it comes to hip hop, and especially the underground scene, and especially in Southern hip hop itself. But yeah, you guys let me know what you think about this Zero Let the Truth Be Told. I feel like this is like the most rambly like review video that I have, especially for our album and the Dark Stages Interlude itself. But yeah, like I said, you let me know down in the comment section down below what you think about this album. Where does this rank in Zero's discography to you? And we gotta give it its happy 20th anniversary like Day thing, because we should honor this album. This is a really dope album from Zero. But that has been another episode of the Dark Sages Interlude. My name is Chase the Dark Sage, and I'm out. Peace.
See, when I ain't had no money, I still had sauce. See, if you don't got no sauce, then you lost.